On this slide is a sample scenario from the preview exam. The scenario presents a situation, a conflict, a dilemma that medical students may encounter during medical school. The scenario will call upon your knowledge or understanding of one or more of the pre-professional competencies. When taking the test, the first step is to read and understand the scenario. So I'm going to pause for just a minute to give you a chance to read the scenario. So based on the scenario, you're going to be asked to rate the effectiveness of a series of possible responses to this. Before we look at some examples of the responses you'll see, I want to talk about how you will be rating them. Understanding the definition of the effectiveness levels is important when deciding how to answer the question. So first, it's important to notice that one side of the scale indicates that the response will have a positive impact on the situation by helping or improving. And the other side indicates negative impact, where the given response will not improve the situation or may even cause a problem. So as you approach the question, your first step is decide if the response will help or hurt the situation. If it seems like the response will help the situation, then your answer will fall on the effective side of the scale. If it seems like it would hurt the situation, then your response will fall on the ineffective side of the scale. And remember, these are all based on those competencies, and we have definitions of positive behaviors associated with those competencies. So as you look at what's effective or ineffective, keep in mind, those positive behaviors that are there, and does this seem to align with them or not align with them, because that's going to give you that direction of whether it's an ineffective or effective behavior. And once you determine the direction of the response, you need to decide on the level. Is it just effective or very effective? And the definitions that you have here provided will help you make that determination. They give you a kind of the nuance between the two levels to help you decide. It's going to take some practice to get a hang of this, but we have some resources for you, and I'm going to get to those in just a minute. Here are a couple of sample responses to the scenario we reviewed. For each response, you need to decide on the effectiveness level of that response. So, and remember, each response is independent, so the answer you give to one has no impact on the others. You're rating each one on its own. And we've got some tips to kind of help you understand and things to think about as you're going through the responses. So make sure you read the scenario and response carefully before rating the effectiveness level. And there are some important things to consider when you're making your choice. Consider each response as an immediate next step in the scenario, unless otherwise noted. Everything you need to know to evaluate each response is included in the scenario and the response itself. Do not assume anything beyond what is written in the scenario or response. And think about this in real life. In a real life situation, even with this scenario that we have presented on the slide, if a student gave you some unexpected negative feedback, maybe there's some history there or something there that maybe is this response, the feedback they gave me trustworthy? Should I believe this? Unless that kind of thought is included in the scenario, don't think about it. You need to take everything really at face value as what you're considering to decide if something is effective or ineffective, and that level is what is exactly presented in that scenario. So if you're thinking about something that's not there, you need to stop, because it's just going to distract you and will impact how you answer the question. So keep it as simple as possible and just think about only what is presented to you in that scenario when making your decision. You need to evaluate and rate each response independently. Do not compare the responses to each other or rank them. So you're not saying, oh, this one is effective, so I think this one is very effective. That's not, they're all independent. So each one is an immediate next step, each one separate from the others. You're not comparing them to each other. And within a scenario set, each effectiveness rating can be used more than once or not at all. So again, you're not looking at it and saying, oh, I need to make sure I use each one of these effectiveness levels at least one time. That doesn't matter. They can use once or not at all. So again, looking at each one independently, and so that you're just rating it based on exactly what you're seeing. And in real life, there may be multiple ways to respond to a situation. The response you think that might be most or least effective might not be present. What you would do in the situation might not be present. Each scenario set includes a sample of possible responses to the situation, and you're just looking at each one independently and deciding the level of effectiveness that choice might be in that scenario, if you were in that scenario.